the Podfix Network.
Hello and welcome to episode 234 of the Filmmakers podcast. This is a podcast where we talk filmmaking, from indie film to studio films and everything in between. How to get them made, how to make them, and how to try not to F it up, in a very, very humble opinion. Today, we are talking to directors John C. Lyons and Dorota Swies. They are the team behind the fantastic fracking horror story Unearth. Fracking horror story. Dirty minds get out the gutter. Fracking as in digging down into the ground. It is a really cool film. And John and Dorota came on and chatted all about their journey. They both edited the film. John co-wrote it and they both produced it. You're going to love today's episode because John and Dorota are real indie filmmakers, getting their hands dirty and getting down in the dirt and the earth, literally. Fracking horror story to deliver this great movie themselves. You'll find out why in a bit. They talk about how they started and about their first film, Schism, which they made by borrowing cameras. And they shot it over 55 days, but not consecutively, with about 6 people. And they talk about their second feature, There Aren't No Goodbyes, which they made for 0 budget. They also talk about how they raised money on Kickstarter. Then they made a proof of concept. And then they made their feature. They talk about making sacrifices, having to learn the business of film, pitching to investors, why they use practical effects, and why you should think about the budget, and always do a background check on your crew. All that is coming up for you. You're going to learn so much from this app. Yeah! How is everyone? Are you well? Did you go out and do something last week to make your film? To make it possible? Did you speak to an investor? Did you write your pitch deck? Did you write more of your script? What did you do? I hope you did something. I really do. If you did, congratulations. Well done. I hope it's moving forward for you. If you didn't, why the fuck not? Get on it this week. Do it. Come on, man. We want to make films. Let's do it. Let's do it together. So be inspired. You can't help but be inspired by this week's app. Like you couldn't from last week with Wyatt Rockefeller and Julie Fabrizio talking about Settlers. Their debut movie. They had Johnny Lee Miller and Sophie Botella in it. Jeez, you can do it too. Listen to that episode, by the way. It's brilliant last week, obviously after you've listened to this week's app. Some news. The Dare, my debut feature, has just been released. By the way, I shot this in 2016. Has just been released in Germany and in France on Blu-ray. And I, this week, have been putting together the behind the scenes and editing the commentary that myself and Andy Roger DOP did, and Julian Kostoff and Bart Edwards and Johnny Grant did like about, a year ago. I've been editing those together, and an alternative ending and alternative beginning to The Dare, which will be on the DVD/Blu-ray, which will be released in America and Canada very soon. How exciting! It's only fucking 5 years later. That's filmmaking, kids. That is filmmaking. Thank you all for your emails and suggestions for a crew on 3 Day Millionaire, which we are shooting in September. It's a comedy set around trawler fishermen. It is brilliant. So thank you for all your emails and applications for that. Decisions are going to be made in the next coming days because we're all going up to Grimsby to make a movie. Exciting. If you didn't hear that, listen to last week's episode. You might just get there in time. We're still searching for some certain crew members. So, shout outs this week go to Diane Knight, Adam Murphy, John Ginge Moore, Sean E. Evans, and Fizz and Ginger, because their book is out. It's amazing. They have a book out called Full to the Brim with Fizz, Ginger, and Fierce Determination. It's a book about indie filmmaking. These guys are part of the podcast. Link is in the show notes. Go support, go buy it. Not only should you buy it to support, but because it's brilliant. It's so insightful into filmmaking. You'll learn tons. and Patreon. Our Patreon, we have a new bonus episode on our Patreon right now with even more in-depth information. If you're not part of our Patreon club, you're missing out. There is loads on there, more tidbits, more advice, more filmmaking stuff, interviews with me, ignore that. But there's full really cool interviews on there. Get yourself there, Filmmakers Podcast /Patreon. Come and support us. We do this for now, so come and support us. Link is in the show notes to that. Shout outs to our top 2 Patreons, as always, Marley J. Monroe and Kevin Pybus. Come and join us, gang. Thank you for all those new patrons who have signed up already. You're amazing. You're already getting that super cool bonus information. Remember, if you do like this, tell your pals. That's how we grow. And if you're feeling very kind, go on iTunes /Apple and give us a lovely 5-star review. Why not? Why not? Right, let's get to it. Our episode with John C. Lyons and Dorota Swies talking about their journey, filmmaking, and their ace new film, Unearth, which is out now. Here it is. Enjoy. Hey. How are you both? It's a delight to have you on the Filmmakers Podcast. Thank you for joining us. You well?
Yeah, thank you for having time to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolute
on
pleasure.
Sunday.
Yeah, it's a Sunday, isn't it? I know, it's strange. I was just playing chess with my dad and I went, I've got to go, Dad. I've got to go. We were literally having probably the best game we'd had for ages. It was like we were both battling. It was very nice. It's a good way to connect, especially online, with Zoom these days and not being able to see him. So I started to play chess in lockdown. It's been really pleasant way to connect. Have you guys been, what is it, morning where you are? Because it's 7 p.m. here. Whereabouts are you? Tell our listeners where you are.
It's 2 in the afternoon here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Whereabouts are you? New York based?
We're East Coast. We're in a city called Erie, which is by Lake Erie.
Is it a good place to get filming done there? Is there a lot of stuff that happens in that area? Tell me about the area, Dorota. What's it? Are you both there? You take it you're both there?
Well, I'm not from Erie, PA, but we did film in Erie, PA, and of course, this place, it's not really film-oriented yet. I know that it's work in progress to have it more suited for the film productions. I know there is a film office, which is very active and pursuing, which I'm sure John can talk more about it. And yeah, there's some issues to start film productions. As you know, every indie filmmaker has some issues, and there's budget limitations and there's crew limitations. So we had that kind of situation when we start filming this film. So
yeah, well, you must do, because, when it is a kind of a small town, I take it Erie is quite a small town, it's difficult to find crew members, or, you've got to bring them in from outside. Is that what you guys did then? And I mean, you obviously you're not from there, Dorota, originally, as you mentioned, but is a kind of a thriving community? You're making shorts there. What's happening?
Yeah, we kind of served as the guinea pigs, really, Giles, as far as with Unearth. We wanted to test the waters to see if somebody could shoot, a sub-$1 million, movie with professional cast and crew in our little corner of the world. And we pulled it off. But yeah, to what Dorota's saying, yeah, we're definitely building a new industry here in northwestern Pennsylvania. And it's very green. So the cool things about Erie is our location is right on a lake, which, can double as an ocean. So we have beaches and waterfront. And then our 4 seasons here are all very intense. There's very snowy winters, very rainy springs. The fall is beautiful. The summer is super hot. And we filmed Unearth in the sweaty part of August, which is a challenge, of course.
It's funny, isn't it? I think everyone says, I want to film summer. And then you film summer and it's too hot. And you say, no, next time I'm going to film winter. I want it to be cool and have snow everywhere. And you go, it was way too cold. So it's that, you want that fine balance, don't you, of that spring into summer, right? I mean, that's kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah, that's the, the thing you get with independent filmmaking, right, is you have to be able to adapt all the time, constantly. And there's always challenges, and you want the weather to be a little different, or you wrote a scene a little different, or maybe a scene was a daytime scene and you're ending up shooting it at night, or the location changes. Like our film takes place between 2 neighboring farms. And we had locations, but we lost one of them at the last minute. And the farms are supposed to be right across the road from each other and very isolated. So we were in a mad dash just a couple months before production to find new locations. So yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of challenges, right?
Totally. I think that's just filmmaking. Indie filmmaking is, I say this a lot, it's just compromise after compromise, you know, and in the end you compromise those compromises, because how else are you going to get it done? No one knows that when you put your film out and it get reviewed and all this sort of stuff. They don't know what you've gone through. They don't care either. They put it next to the latest, you know, Marvel movie, and you just have to accept it and go, that's what you're going to get. You know, if you're going to be an indie filmmaker, you just got to hope that those compromises aren't too much. Did you start making shorts together? Is that something that you know from your time at college together? Did you start making shorts there or making anything there together? How did it work?
Yeah, we started working after the college was done. I mean, then I decided to stay in the United States, and we start working on a little project like this, practicing basically, because we are not after film school. So of course we need to practice and realize what we're getting into before starting something bigger, because we don't have that experience and we don't have that network or being even privilege of finishing film school. So we had to start basically from zero and just build our own, let's say, portfolio or some kind of experience to be able to move to larger projects. And our friends were filming too, so we were helping camera work and other things. And
yeah, and I think you do, don't you? You do all help each other, and you sort of those people who rise to the top. Those people, you can see who really wants to do this, or at least attempt to do this as a career. Because, like you say, if you do live in the middle of nowhere, it's really, really hard to do it as a career. It's like, how do you even start? You know, you can't afford the equipment for one. You can maybe borrow it from the college, but that doesn't last for very long, because once you've left, they're like, no, I need it for the other students, or if you break it, you know, it's really difficult.
Yeah. So it was just a lot of practice. It was shorts. We did a couple, you know, zero budget features. All in, what would you say, Dorota? Maybe like 10 or 15 years probably of, you know, practice essentially before we were like, you know, and Unearth started as a much lower budget. Not that our budget was large by any means, but a much lower budget project on Kickstarter. And it was just because, you know, there were like 275 people across the world that contributed to that Kickstarter, and we got 150% of our goal. That we were kind of like, okay, maybe this is the one that we try and raise more money. Let's use this Kickstarter to do a proof of concept, and let's see if we can attract more talent and a professional cast and crew. And that's how we kind of took that next step.
That's incredible. I really like that. I like the get up and go. And I also like that you glossed over the fact that you made 2 indie films before this. Just, and then we just made a couple of indie films. And I was like, look, we need to talk about those, because we just do. This is what we, you know, the Filmmakers podcast is all about, getting that first one done. And then obviously Unearth, I actually loved the film. I thought it had so much heart, and it looked like a big budget movie. It really looked like you thought about the shots, the angles, the care behind it all was really well done. We'll come back to it, because I think, you know, people want to know how you got there, because that's the big thing. How did you get to it? How did you raise the money? How did we get through it? So Schism, I take it, was your first feature. Is that right, that you did?
Schism.
Schism. And then that's it. I take it the second one was There Are No Goodbyes. Correct. Let's talk about them. Just, you can do it briefly as you like, and you can ignore them as much as you like, but it's still good to mention that you did these, and that was what you learned from it, that you brought into Unearth. So let's talk about the first one, Schism first. How did you manage to raise funds? How did you go about it? I take it was very low budget.
Very low budget. Schism was, so we had purchased our DVX 100 for a short called Hunting Camp. We did 2 shorts, Hunting Camp, BOGO, and those were kind of building up getting used to that camera and the workflow.
Yeah.
The workflow, a whole other challenge compared to, now with just plug in a card and it's all digital, right?
Amazing,
like you got to
right?
read in the digital tapes and all of that stuff. Schism was a very personal story. I wrote Schism as well. My father was suffering from Alzheimer's, dementia, and the story is, at that point, we hadn't seen any stories that were from the point of view of the afflicted. Usually in Alzheimer's stories before, and this was 2006, usually you'd seen stories from the point of view of the family and how that affected them. We wanted to show the experience, like get in the headspace of the person with the disease. And this was a challenging shoot because, we could not build a long-term care facility on a zero budget, right?
Yeah.
So we had to find a assisted living facility, long care facility that would allow us to film there. So if you can imagine, you can't shut it down. So we had to get permission from the families of all the residents to be able to film there. And we blurred the lines between documentary and fictional narrative because the families would say yes or no to, yes, I would love to have my loved one be an extra in this scene and stuff like that. So we would have a mix of our actors, and we filmed for, what was it, maybe like 50 days or something, Dorota, over the course of a year.
Wow.
55.
55 days. My gosh.
Over the course of a year, we would just go there when we could, when actors were available, when crew was available. Our crew was at most, I think, 6 people.
Yeah, we really had 2 people of crew. We have boom guy and light guy, and then John and I. That's all our crew. And we have makeup also.
Yeah, and makeup also. And obviously finding actors from that area must have been tricky too, right? I mean, sometimes you're just getting friends of friends who fancy it and they're not necessarily actor trained. Must be difficult too. You've made a feature film, the two of you, and that is a big thing. People sometimes can overlook that as their first one or something. Maybe you didn't, maybe you did, but people do. And I think it's a huge achievement from anyone in any walk of life, whether you're ridiculously rich and you've got parents in the industry, or it's the totally opposite and you live in the middle of nowhere. Both are a huge challenge. Obviously one's harder than the other, but at the same time you're under pressure, you're under enormous stress and pressure. And I think it's a huge achievement. It's really good. Did that lead then you on to go, right, let's do There Are No Goodbyes, let's make our second movie? Because it wasn't long after, by the looks of it, that you did go on to make that, which is a sci-fi drama as well. So again, you were like, right, let's push the boundaries straight away. Was that the plan?
Which Dorota always will challenge me with, of, like writing something that's, a bit beyond your means, right?
Let's have a hot air balloon in it. Yeah, let's have elephants. Yeah. And they're all in space. Even better. Let's do it.
But with this one, which I'm sure Dorota is going to jump in on, Dorota and I, for the second one, purposefully became the whole crew. We were, operating camera, running sound ourselves, and it was very intimate. We filmed it very intimate.
Yeah, it was a very small production, I would say. We had the story between 2 young people meeting and falling in love. So obviously, yes, it was kind of a bit different than Schism. And also zero budget and small crew and basically learning projects, just something to learn how to make it. And we had Panasonic camera again. That was the time when we did not have the digital film equipment like we have those days, and everyone was laughing at us saying, why you film, it's the real film, it's on the film 16 or 35 and this is not real deal. So they're basically laughing at us, and now they're shooting everything digital, so it's kind of
they can laugh, but at the end of the day you made another feature film, and did they go on to make another feature film? Maybe they did, maybe they were Steven Soderbergh, who knows, but probably not. And the fact is you did, and then that obviously it's not easier, but it does become slightly easier when you're bringing on cast for Unearth to go, we have made features before, they understand. And for me as a producer, my producer head on, I'd much prefer to work with a director, producer, writer team who have made a feature before. Even if that feature is terrible, it doesn't matter. They've gone through the heartache and the pain and the difficulty of getting a feature finished and out there in the world. It's a huge thing. Yeah, I'd say it really is. So, hats off to you for doing it. And the fact is you two did this just the two of you is pretty impressive. Was that just out of necessity? Was that just kind of like, look, let's just go on with it? And obviously you had your cast as well. Some of these casts are great as well. So was that just a kind of necessity again? Let's just get on with it. Let's just shoot ourselves. How come you didn't bring others on?
Well, because there's no budget, and there was just, right? And there was we're in the middle of nowhere, so people have regular jobs. They don't really make movies for a living. So it's, again, hard to get someone who will be interested working for free and with some kind of experience and equipment. We didn't have any equipment either to either rent or buy. So it's like, why we need people if we don't have nothing to operate?
Yeah, we kind of did in the opposite order of like, just looking at it on paper, There Are No Goodbyes probably should have been like our first feature because, it's just the two of us just using, mostly like probably 90% natural lighting. The scheduling was tighter and things like that. And it was just kind of like shooting with the locations and, accessories and things that you have and kind of building the project around that. So whereas then it would have seemed to have been the next logical step to then go to Schism, which would have seemed bigger than that, filming in a very difficult environment with tons of extras. Yeah, it's interesting. I guess maybe, because Schism was, I'm trying to think back now, but maybe because Schism was such a lengthy, kind of challenge in its own right, we were kind of like, let's just scale down, do something intimate that still, of course, has a sci-fi bent to it. And I will mention, Dorota and I, we had some vacations, that were coming up between shooting. Like we went to Poland and the Czech Republic and Ireland. So of course we tied all of that into like the sci-fi elements of the story and filmed there as well. So
of course, if you're going on holiday, the two of you, you're like, well, why don't we just shoot there? Yeah, absolutely. I love that. How did you work that with the actors then? Or was it a case of you just shot other footage there?
Dorota got to be an actress.
Yeah, I was the actor. On the cliff of Mother Cliff?
What are they called? Cliffs of Moher?
Mm-hmm. Oh, in Ireland. Okay. Wow. So therefore you were like, well, look, we might as well shoot you traveling and going around. I love that. But that's how indie films should be made when you're starting out or trying to make movies. Why not? It
gave us scale. It gave us pretty epic scale. Yeah,
I bet. Yeah. And what did you learn from those two films then, moving forward into Unearth? Was looking back now, what did you gain from that whole experience to go, right, I'm not going to do that.
I think you learn one thing is that, and this is no disrespect to anybody that worked with us, like you have to be a certain level of crazy to work on films and kind of sacrifice so much time and so much effort that really no one quite understands until they're there on set, right, Giles? Yeah. So it's kind of like, what we learned is that no one's going to love your baby like as much as you, even if you're paying them, to kind of
love it as much as you
a little bit. Right? But yeah, it's like it's only really going to make it as far, not to put like all on the indie filmmakers' shoulders, but really to put all on the indie filmmakers' shoulders. It's only going to go as far as you have that stamina. And as far as your shoulders can hold that burden, you got to like drag it across the finish line, I think is probably what I learned, Dorota. Similar.
You need to be really desperate and determined to have that finish line in mind to have it done, and understand that working with different people require to be more flexible and understand they are living people and they have their characters, and I know the actors are very sensitive souls. They appear like very high confidence, but deep down inside they're very fragile and very sensitive to any kind of critics. So you have to be very careful working with actors because they are very delicate souls.
I totally agree. And it was good that you got to be an actor, for a while. And I think that it does make a big difference. I think you learn so much, as an actor for years, and you realize how directors should talk to actors, or they don't be scared of them and what they need and wants. And every actor's different, and it's so important. You're absolutely right, Dorota. It's really important, really is. And just to get your head around that for quickly as you can. Which brings us nicely onto Unearth. John, would you like to tell us what it's about? And I can play the trailer and then we can dive into it.
Yeah, of course. Unearth is a story about two struggling neighboring farm families. One day they get a knock on the door and the opportunity to turn their lives around by leasing their land to a natural gas company. One of the families agrees to, the other does not. This fractures the relationship between the two. And as the land is drilled, not only is the water contaminated at the two families, but something else unexpected is released and things go downhill.
God help us if we get another weak yield this season.
I got you all finished up.
I can do $50 cash.
Got a family. I don't think you guys are seeing the full picture. Catherine, you got a highway at the back of your field now. But where's your dairy business?
Telling you, we gotta go big. We gotta get out.
Eddie Drake, Patriot Exploration.
Not interested.
We could pay up to $1,200 an acre. The world is leaving us behind.
I know you had a visit with me.
You make the decisions that's best for your family. I'll make the decisions that's best for mine. Does that sound like something you might be interested in?
Jesus, Dad, wake up!
I think I just close my eyes for a second. This was supposed to save us.
Make it stop!
We gotta go.
It wants me to kill you!
It's so great. It really is a really interesting angle you've taken on the whole fracking thing, which is obviously a big thing, and it still is. But I imagine when you first started coming up with the idea, it was even bigger. Fracking was huge, and you, like say you mentioned before, but you started to work on this in probably 2015, 2016, and this was the first time that you directed together. How did that conversation come about? Why was it a case of let's do this together? What was the thoughts behind this?
I think that was one of the producers' idea, saying, why Dorota is not director? She's doing her work already. And I said, well, yeah, why not? I'm just doing what I've always been doing. So credit, sure. They give me some more stable ground under my feet, saying, okay, I'm entitled to do certain things on the set or have my own voice a little bit louder than just and being kind of officially made person, what I was always pretty doing on the smaller scale. And besides that, the subject was kind of important. I thought that female-centric drama, why not? I think I can be more engaged with that than just with regular productions we had in the past. So
that's really interesting. How is it for you then, John? Because obviously you directed on your own before, and then to have, even though Dorota was always on your shoulder anyway with thoughts and comments, how was that then to be, okay, we're doing this together? Just, it's really interesting, I think, to know, because I don't know how I'd be now if I was to direct with someone else.
Yeah, it was really just to kind of make it official and, to what you were saying too, we also, because of the themes of the story and having it be so female centric, it was bringing Kelsey Goldberg on then it was about the last year and a half of working on the polishing of the script, that it was really important to make sure that, I wasn't that guy that was writing all these female voices and potentially getting it wrong. That would have been a huge mistake. So yeah, Kelsey coming in and making everything right, and kind of getting all of that solidified. And it was just, Dorota's always been there. Like you've heard us, talk about our previous films. So it was really, Dorota was ready to step up, and, really excited to work with Una Lee, our DP, and work on, selecting the lenses and the camera and all of that. I mean, she, whether, she had the title before or not, she's always been like a producer, director, cinematographer, all of those things. So it was really just making that official, I think.
Nice. Yeah, that's lovely. It's a good way to do it. Let's talk about how you did it then. How did you raise the money? You mentioned earlier you went on Kickstarter and started to see if that could work, and you raised over 150%. What was the choice to go on Kickstarter? Why do it that way? Was there no other choices for money? If you can jump back for us, obviously it's 2015, 2016. What was your thought process at that point of going, how can we raise money for this?
For us, it was like, stepping up from $0 to, hey, let's set a modest goal of $15,000 on Kickstarter, and let's see if we can raise $15,000. And we could. And we raised actually 100% after... Man, I can't remember, Dorota. Was it on the first day or the fifth day or something? It was definitely within the first week we had reached our goal.
Wow. Yeah. Why do you think that was? What was it that you were doing that was, that was so appealing for people to go, yeah, here's some money?
I think honestly, and it's why we put it on the poster too, it's a fracking horror story. Like that combination of fracking and horror, when, that's the shortest pitch for the movie Unearth, like you just say it's a fracking horror movie, you instantly get a response, right?
Yes.
You either, and since our world is so political, you either get a response of like, fuck yeah, why haven't we seen that movie yet? Or you get a response of like, oh, I see what you're doing there.
Yeah. Yes.
So putting that title in the Kickstarter, I think automatically got us eyeballs. Unearth, a fracking horror film or something like that is what the title of the Kickstarter was. And like I said, I originally had just opened it up to US and Canada to be able to contribute to the Kickstarter, but we actually got people from the UK, from France, from Spain, like all over the place message us and say, why aren't you guys accepting
money from us?
And then I was like, holy shit, okay. So then we opened it up more, and
it's like you made like a secret club. Yeah, no, you can't. This is just for us guys. And you want it? Oh, all right, then we'll let you in.
It was really a lack of confidence. Like honestly, like a lack of confidence of like, let's see if we can do 15,000. Maybe we'll get there. And then like, other people outside the US care about this subject. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, it's a big thing in the UK as well.
Yeah.
And were you doing anything specific? Like, did you have a plan? Were you emailing everyone? Were you social media style at that point? I think Twitter was around then. Yes.
Yes.
Facebook. Were you doing all that kind of world? Were you really pushing?
Yeah, the thing with so I sat in on a lot of like seminars and workshops and things months ahead of time, and really that would be the advice I would say is kind of like, you need to build your audience and be familiar with your audience before you start production on your film. I think it's equally as important before you do crowdfunding, because we've all seen those friends who just out of the blue, you'll see them post a couple times a week, hey, contribute to my GoFundMe or my Kickstarter or whatever. And then I'll check back in a couple weeks and, yeah, man, you got like your mom and your uncle that contributed, but nobody else, right? Like you can't do it like that. So there used to be, and I don't know if you can anymore, but there used to be a hack for Facebook where you could download all of your friends' email addresses.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you can. I think they stopped that.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. But I was able to download all of my friends on Facebook email addresses. And so like a month and then a week and then the day of, I emailed everyone and said, hey, I have a new movie coming out. It's going to be on Kickstarter. It's very important to get as much of your goal as possible in the first 24 hours, because that, the cream rises.
Takes you to the top of the Kickstarter
the whole
chart.
algorithms and all that stuff. And then we were chosen as a project that we love, I think is what Kickstarter calls them now. And then IndieWire had us as their project of the a week or something like that.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah. So that's
and that was just all based, that's being prepared, but that was just based off the concept then, I suppose. So there's already quite a fan base for it. Great. Well done. That's an amazing achievement. But you can't have made the film for 22, 23 grand. Could you? We had planned to, but then Dorota and I talked, and, we got on like author Chuck Palahniuk's radar. He tweeted about us, just giving another shout out to Twitter. And then Marc Blucas and Allison McAtee, we got on their radars, and they are originally from Erie, Pennsylvania themselves. Amazing. Brilliant.
And so then it kind of turned into, okay, let's take these funds. Let's let in another key with crowdfunding is always keep your people informed regularly. I hate like on Kickstarter when somebody makes the film, you see it come out on Amazon Prime and they still haven't even messaged like their contributors and you're like, what the hell, guys?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So we were always communicating, hey, this is what we're thinking. We're thinking of, making a better film than you bought into by using this money, making a proof of concept, and then going and approaching investors to raise the overall budget. And people were really excited about that idea, and they were excited about like having Marc and Allison come on board.
Oh, so they came on board for the proof of concept then? For
the proof of concept, yep. And that kind of became part of our marketing too, right, Dorota, is we said, okay, we're going to, because they're, like Dorota mentioned, there's the Greater Erie Film Office and there's the Film Society of Northwestern Pennsylvania. And we kind of told them, we'll be the guinea pigs. We will try and raise investment locally. We'll shoot this proof of concept. We're going to bring talent home. And that's how we're going to market this and hire local. And let's see if we can kind of make this a calling card for Erie, that people can do this in Erie.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. And what did they said, yeah, let's go for that, Dorota. What was their response when you sat and talked to them about this?
I think that they love the idea. I mean, I know that Marc was more, he gave a couple helpful tips about the budget and do not go too crazy because, it's indie productions and you have to sell it later in order to give back to your investors. So you cannot get too carried away with your request as far as the budget size, amount. And so, it was very helpful to get those two on board because they had more experience and Marc was really helpful as a producer and he gave us his wisdom so we could learn more from him. And
How did you manage to raise that extra bit of cash then? And because, now we're talking quite a bit, because I don't know how much you made it for, but it looks like it's a nice big budget, and that's testament to you two and the whole team, and the Ali as well, your cinematographer. I hope I pronounced that right, but I think that's really testament. But how did you go about it? Did you do a pack? Did you do an information memorandum, they're called in the UK, where you're saying how much money you're going to get back, how this is going to work? Did you do all that? Was it a full on deck and pack that you put together?
Yeah, for sure.
Tell us about it.
Work. It was so much work. Everything you're saying is right. Really, and this is looking back to it, Dorota, I think really the most important decision for us was doing that proof of concept, honestly, Giles, because approaching people in an area that have never invested in a film before, there is a lot of education that comes with that, and being able to just show them, we shot the proof of concept on like a Red Dragon 6K, and what did we have, Dorota? Like Cook anamorphic lenses?
We had Cook anamorphic lenses. They were good, but they were not consistent by the focal point. So basically, it was some issues later. So we decided to go with different lenses after that. But it was very, we tried to make that as high quality as possible because we wanted to attract people just by the looks also, not just the story. But the look was kind of my priority as far as the film. So we rented those cooks, and then we hired DP Ryan Postas, who was also local born, but he was at the time living and working in LA, but he flew to work on this project to make it better. And then 3 of us, and also we had the sound, Mike Berlin, and that's our crew for the proof of concept. But yes, definitely we try to put as much effort as possible, because we did realize when we were finished with that proof of concept, when we went to New York and showed to potential investors, we had kind of opportunity to show that to major distribution people over there, and they were kind of amazed by the quality. I mean, amazed, that's the kind of big word, but they were very impressed with the quality of the proof of concept. And we had a letter of intent from one of them.
Wow.
Saying that, well, yes, we are very interested in the project. So I think it's definitely worth of doing that for actual production.
Totally agree. I think where a lot of filmmakers do fall down here is they try and make a proof of concept on a really low budget. And the problem is it doesn't look how the end film's going to look, but your investors or your big studio, whoever you're going to, are going to look at it and go, yeah, that's the best they can do. So my advice, and probably you're the same, and it sounds exactly right, Dorota, what you're saying there is, no, we made sure we got the right lenses, we got the right DP, and obviously you got your brilliant cast. And you two making it special, it now becomes a proper proof of concept that you could slot in the feature film. And I think that's what's important. Don't try and make a short, or try and, if it's not good enough, don't show it. It's because people will be put off by it. But it sounds like yours was, and it, like say, you've got this letter of intent and you move forward. Tell us about the next step now. Now you're moving forward. Now you've got your proof of concept and you have gone and met these people. This moment must have been amazing for you. I can see you smiling already. The fact that then suddenly someone goes, yeah, no worries. Here's some money. How did it happen?
Well, I just want
not that easily.
Before John tells more about it, I just want to mention, yes, that was amazing feeling, because you are on the middle of nowhere in Pennsylvania, you're doing the project very first time in your life. You're shooting something you never did before, basically, and you go to New York and there's serious people in the industry saying, oh, this is great potential, we really like it. There's a proof of concept we really like, and there's a letter of intent. It's like the whole new world opens in front of you, and you just getting more and more greedy, I would say, for the quality of the production. So then I was like, oh my God, if we did with these lenses, why don't we shoot with the other lenses, even better lenses, or we have better light, or we compromise. For example, I gave away my salary in order to get a better camera or lenses, because that was my priority. I'm not doing the film to get paid that couple grand and go back to your home, basically. But you're making the film, so you have to be prepared for some kind of sacrifices, because you're creating art right now. This is your goal, nothing else matters. So you have to establish your priorities, and the whole world is just different, basically. And you want to hire better people, you want to hire more professional cast, and you want to hire people who from out of area who know how to do I don't know, like light or proper sound, everything like that. So your appetite grows after that kind of moment in your life, and you're just greedy, but greed is good in this case.
But, yeah, greedy in a good way, because you want to go make the film. And that's so nice to hear that you went, look, I'd sacrifice whatever here. I get to make the film that we want to make. And it is important, especially when you are saying it's a couple of grand. Well, if you are working somewhere else and that's your regular income, you kind of like, well, look, I'm going to take a couple of weeks off and I'll take the hit, but that means I can get this lens or this camera or that sound person. Yeah, totally. It makes your film better. I love that sacrifice. John, how was that moment for you? And talk about how it actually did happen. What was the moment when someone came forward and went, yeah, here you go?
I'll just say for your listeners, so they're like, what a dick, he let Dorota sacrifice her salary. we both gave up.
Congratulations for saying that. It's not true, is it?
But I was just that bad Eve basically saying, I'm giving away, and then okay, I will do that too.
Yeah. No, but it's if that's what you've got to do to make your film the way you need it to be, great. If that helps you move forward, then you have to do it. Yeah, absolutely. So now you're pitching it to all these people, and what was what was the breakthrough?
So we have our proof of concept video. We have a letter of intent from a boutique distributor. And then, we put together, as you said, kind of all the legalese, the 30-page documents, everything that you need that says, your investment equals this many points. And there's this many units or points available to raise what we need to make our budget. And I mean, I will gloss over a little bit, because
it's a full-on crash course. This one, it's a whole podcast talking about that.
This is a whole podcast, and this is where you really, like our mutual friend Alex Ferrari always says too, like you got to be a business person, a film entrepreneur, right? You have to, this is a different part of the brain than shooting a film. This is full on business and pitching, and that is a skill. And Giles, I have a spreadsheet with 200 names on it of people that I approached, and 30 said yes. And that is how we got our budget.
Oh, congratulations.
It was a year and a half of hearing a lot of no's. And you probably know this yourself, that as soon as you start talking to somebody, like you get to a point, like you're really precious with it. At least I was. I take everything like very personally. And so the first couple no's, I was like, man, this is, I'm doing terrible. This is never going to work or whatever. But then you get it kind of like, you kind of learn as you go, and you kind of polish your pitch a little better each time. And then you start getting some yeses, and then it's like, oh, holy shit. Okay. And then you get to such a point where it's like, you can tell in the first minute if this person is a yes or a no. And then it's kind of like, okay, I'm not taking offense to this. Thank you so much for your time. We'll maybe in the future we'll work together. And then you move on to the next person. And it's kind of like getting out of that headspace of like, that it's impossible. And that you just have to kind of research each person that you're pitching to, seeing what their interests are. Maybe if you look at their Instagram and they, have went to an event before and they're posing with a celebrity, then maybe be like, hey, Marc Blucas is in this movie, and you can be in this movie, and you can meet Marc and, be behind the scenes and stuff. That's the way maybe to approach them. Or if you see like on their Facebook page that their interests are like every horror movie and The Walking Dead and all these TV shows, you can be like, this is a horror movie. We're going to do practical effects. We're going to show you things that you've never seen before. It's going to be so fun. Or if they're an environmentalist and they're posting, like progressive things or liberal things, you can be like, we want to save the environment too. This is a movie with a message. So you kind of got to work out your pitch for each individual person. This is a lot of work. Like you said, this is its own podcast. But doing the homework can pay off, even if it takes a year and a half to get there.
Well, congratulations. And I love that little sort of explanation you did there, and some great advice, because, people don't know how to talk to investors or approach it. But it seems like you did so well. So congratulations. It's an amazing achievement. It really is. Now you're making your movie, Unearth. It's great. I really enjoyed the sort of the drama side of this. The acting, the performances were fantastic. And you kind of took us on this journey of this slow build world, and then hell breaks loose when the fracking really happens and everything goes off. And, you mentioned there about the horror side of stuff and the effects that you got, the prosthetics, the SFX, stunning, really stunning. I'm like, wow, okay. So you must have raised quite a bit of money to get this, or it was a certain people in the area that were good. Were you bringing people in from outside now who weren't necessarily in Indiana area? How did you go about the whole sort of process of making the movie?
Let's see. Yeah, this is all really great questions.
Sorry, I did them all at once. Apologies.
No. All thanks on the practical effects, which was always a goal, because Dorota and I have said, time and time again, that you can have a Marvel movie with a $200 million budget, and those visual effects will still, in my opinion, and sometimes it's even just 1 year's time, will look not necessarily great.
Yep, it's true.
Whereas practical is captured in camera with the real light that's hitting the actors, and all the objects are hitting your practical effects. And what you've got in camera, you will always have, because it's a real physical object. So shout out to Tolan Effects, who's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So about an hour and a half, 2 hours south of us. And they've worked on all of the big features that have come through Pittsburgh, like The Dark Knight Rises, and, you know, one of the Tom Cruise action movies, Jack Reacher, you know, like a lot of these big films. And they will occasionally, if you reach out to them far enough ahead of time, and we reached out to them like a full year at least ahead of time, and we kind of got them, Giles, by the same thing when I was writing the script, and I kind of bounced some ideas off of my horror friends. There's one particular image, which we won't spoil, but there's an image in the film that usually lasts with everybody that's seen the film. And I threw that to my horror friends, and I threw that to Tolan Effects. And I said, this scene kind of says everything that I want to say message-wise in the film. And people were like, oh shit, we have never seen that before. You're going to go there? Okay. I like that challenge. Yeah. And, you know, things like that. And then, you know, really kind of basing it in the natural world, which, you know, I'm sure Dorota wants to jump in here and comment on, you know, practical effects, keeping things based in the natural world as far as we could. I think that also attracted some talent that normally would have been out of our range.
Yes, I can imagine so. When you said practical effects, my first movie, The Dare, I used as much practical effects as I could, you know, severed hands, eyeballs, worms, all that kind of stuff that going into people. And it feels so much better. It's skin peeling. It feels, when it's practical, you just believe it more, even though you know it's not real. But as an audience member, you go, yeah, cool, old school practical effects. As soon as you CGI them, you instantly go, ah. And there's a couple of CGI moments in The Dare, and you just go, ah. I mean, yeah, obviously we couldn't put, you know, bugs in kids' mouths and stuff. So you do sometimes have to go, they were all up for it, but yeah, you go, no, we can't do that. And obviously the crops you had, you know, I'm not going to say you had, the crops were there, right? The crops were a big part of this movie. Did you have to say, well, we have to shoot at a certain time of year because obviously the crops won't be there, or the certain height you wanted, or the farmers who actually own those lands wanted not actors running around in it, ruining their lovely crops? How did you get all the locations? How did you work out the sort of time of year you wanted to shoot at? Because obviously things like that are a huge part of it.
Yeah, I mean, the farms that we shot at, which Leszewski farm is the real sweet corn farm that was the Dolan's location. Mm-hmm. And they were incredible. Actually, the owners of both families, the Lomack family across the street, or across the dirt road, were fantastic. We had 2 different locations, and one of them we lost right before production. I'm going to say in either April or May, and we were filming in August, like the first week of August was when we started. And that was a big nervous panic because we wanted to have, you know, two places right across from the road from each other, because that played into the story and having them isolated and things like that. So we ended up, my boss at my day job, DJ Bradley, said, hey, I live like my father-in-law has this farm right next door. Why don't you check it out? And they were bigger farms, more expansive, more cinematic, and it's kind of one of those things, like, you know, we were talking about before, where you have to like improvise all the time. Sometimes it works out so that when you improvise, right, it's like above and beyond what you even imagined, and it just makes things so much better. So we were very thankful to get those farms. They worked with us. That one of the farmers is an extra in the movie. He comes up to the farm stand and buys some of his own sweet corn.
Hey, I love that.
But these are just two gentlemen in their, what are they, Dorota, their 70s, 80s?
Yeah, about pushing 80.
Yeah, pushing 80, and they are the hardest working people in the world. They go out and they're picking this corn by hand all day long and selling it at their fruit stands. So you know, we were able to keep that very true to real life, all of those locations, and make them as real as they are. All of the locations are, you know, one of the houses, you know, Dorota and Una had our production team paint the walls darker, but otherwise, you know, the holes that are in the wall in the kitchen and all of those things, they are really there. You know, these are real struggling, grit, raw situations in Pennsylvania.
And it comes across, you know, they felt real. You know, I felt the actors, and certainly your two leads there, if you call them the two leads, also ended up being producers with you, Marc Blucas and Allison McAtee. And I love that because you felt that they were part of that world, you know, and obviously we can always talk about Adrienne Barbeau, who's just sensational, you know. I thought all your cast were. I thought they really were. Brooke as well, you know, Rachel McKeon, just brilliant. Really, really just across the board, though I didn't feel there was a weak link. I thought, like I say, I think it's a really brilliant film. I think you've both done incredibly well. Was it always, just for me, it's fascinating to know, was it always the moment to because it does change. It's kind of a bit like Dusk Till Dawn, where you're going down one journey and then suddenly it goes woof and pulls the carpet from when you go, oh my God, everything's going on this, you know, and what's real, what's not at this point, what's hallucinating, what's not. Was that always the sort of plan? To just pull the rug a little bit, to not tease us before?
Yeah, always the plan was to kind of try and have our cake and eat it too, really, and straddle that line of drama. Like, because to your point, the first half, and, you know, some have said critically, you know, all except for the last 20 minutes are firmly in the family drama, slow building dread, you know, situation. And then, yeah, it goes into horror. The way I always looked at it is, you know, if you're at ground zero of a tragedy, life is normal until it's not, right? Until you have that event. So even though we show, you know, approximately halfway through the film when the land is drilled, we do show that there's something underground and that there's something kind of getting into the water, just like the families don't know. You know, we kind of leave that out there and simmering, and you see people, you know, start coughing and maybe start getting rashes and things like that. Like it's maybe something that on a second viewing, you know, you'll see some of the hints in there where it's like, you know, now that we've lived through a pandemic, or we're still going through a pandemic, it's, you know, every cough and sneeze kind of has a different vibe right now. But it was kind of like putting things like that into the film early on and have somebody say like, oh, it must just be my allergies or whatever. Well, it's not your allergies.
It's already started.
Something else is going on.
And what did you learn from, you know, from making this movie? Because it does feel like a big step up from your last movies you made, you know, and what you're going to, moving forward to your next film, which I really hope you make soon. What did you feel that, you know, it was like on set? What did you feel that all that experience you'd had before, was it totally worth it? Did it help you in any ways? Dorota, let's start with you.
Yes, definitely the previous experimental projects definitely help a lot. But this particular project was the whole new experience, and I learned so much that it's you cannot even compare to previous work I did. You have to learn. I learned the most that you have to think about the budget, where it goes. What do you have to prioritize? I would spend less in certain departments and put maybe more in other departments. We had very limited crew. We had 5 people working on lights and gaffers and grip electric. So it was very tiny crew. We did not have majority of necessary equipment because we needed some lights we didn't have. So it was just a lot of limitations as far as the equipment, as lighting equipment, and something simple like generators or fog machines, everything like that was some issues with that. You have to be sure you have a backup. Otherwise, you have to smoke cigarettes in order to have that air diffuse behind you. So it's like, I'm learning that the budget is crucial. You have to plan your budget wisely and put more money in other areas than I thought I would need, and have maybe more people than I thought in certain areas when I plan to, or maybe have different kind of lighting, because I know there is some smaller lights were necessary and we didn't have those. So our crew had to really sweat and improvise. So yeah, that was mostly budget, and then hire people who are determined and actually know their experience from that other people seek some kind of background. I don't want to say background check, but actually interview their previous employers to see if they are legit, if they know what they're really doing. Because we had situation when we, for example, hire a person who had really no experience but was projecting themselves like they do have experience. So we had to improvise and replace them in the middle of the shooting, basically. Yeah. So yeah, it's hard. And other than that, I'm really happy no one got injured, because, as you know, independent filmmaking, you have, when you work with armory like guns, or you have to jump through some kind of running through the corn when it's not necessarily the safest environment to run through. It's
flamethrowers. We had a flamethrower on set.
Yeah, accidents happen. People die on the sets. Like we have some famous independent movies when something got bounced off from the running train and someone died and on the set. That's a tragedy. So I was really happy that with that kind of short period of time, we had 18 days to shoot. That large script was 6 pages a day, I think. So we were rushing. We didn't have to, we could not finish certain scenes because we had to finish the project. So we had to sacrifice some of the scenes. So it was crazy shoot, very limited cast and crew and the time. And so I'm just happy overall no one got hurt.
Yeah, no, it's so important though, isn't it? The safety of everyone. You know, at the end of the day, you are making a movie, but and there is a high tense environment, but safety of people is more important, because if God forbid something does happen, you're stopping anyway. You're not going to make them. You've finished. It's done. So actually, you've sacrificed one shot for the sake of safety, or taking that extra bit of time is really important. And I loved what you said about background check on crew. People can lie on CVs and just make it up and say that they've been a focus puller, say that they've, gaffered before, when they've probably just assisted someone and they actually aren't experienced, or they aren't experienced in budget on the full being a costume designer, and they have, they've done bits but not fully had to do with a costume, a budget of one, and they don't know where they can get all this from, and suddenly it gets out of hand. Brilliant. Great advice. John, same to you. What did you learn on this one? What's advice can you give filmmakers?
Oh, Dorota stole one of mine.
She did well, to be fair. It was really good. So good luck.
I'll just back up Dorota and say, do your due diligence. I mean, once you start ramping up to production, once we had Adrienne on board and the dates were, then really locked, and it's kind of like, all right, you don't want to lose, some of our biggest name, right? In the film, you can overlook kind of and this is where it gets complicated when you're being a director producer. Your brain wants to, we want to lean into that creative side and go full on into directing. But it's reminding yourself of that business side, the producer side, and not taking your eye off the ball of due diligence with crew. Chances are, if during the early meetings and pre-production meetings and stuff, if your spidey sense was going off that you might have an issue with someone, it might be worth really exploring and taking that bullet before you start filming, instead of having to let a couple people go on day one.
Love that. It's so true, because it's hard work on day one. There's so much other stuff going on. If you've got to let people go and then replace them, it's tough. So actually, you're right. Do due diligence first if you can, and work with people love, trust. Even when people are telling you, no, go higher, get that person. Actually, the people who've worked with you all the way up, they deserve that too. So, and if they're good enough, you like them, why not? Great advice. Obviously, you shot in 2018, and just to finish off, it'd be really interesting to know why it took so long to come out. I know reason why movies take so long to come out, totally. But it'd be really good to hear your journey of that and what happened. Obviously, 2018 happened, and obviously the COVID in 2020 and now 2021. But still, it's always difficult and frustrating. So do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of covers some of the stuff we've talked about with budgeting. And, you know, Dorota and I were talking to a fabulous editor that was like our dream to have this editor on the film. And then once we got down to, you know, them coming out for, I forget how long they were going to come out, Dorota, for like a week, like a crash course week to try and edit the film, because that was all we could afford in their, you know, their budget. And kind of discovering, that's not possible. It's just not going to be possible. No. You know, so Dorota and I ended up having to edit ourselves, which was not our original plan. Dorota, you want to jump in on any of that?
Right. Yeah. You know, editing is a totally different skill, and you learn in school the rules and the tricks, and you know, editor can rewrite a script because has fresh eye and then brilliant ideas how to make the best out of those takes you have. So I was really hoping we can get editor to make it movie to the next level, because, you know, footage is a footage, but the skilled person can put it something really awesome from even better than we imagine, and different change the story and adjust. And so I was really hoping we can have editor, but it did not work out with not with our budget. It's unfortunately it was out of our budget. So we did edit ourselves. John was behind the steering wheel. I was sitting next, and just as John, you did say, I was directing kind of thing. The editing process.
Press that button. Why is that green box next to that one? Yeah. But you both edited before, so it wasn't like this is new, but still editing a feature film with all that footage is hard.
Yeah, it's a lot of footage, a lot of gigabytes of footage, and you have the sound and you have the different takes. It's totally different pressure when you have that kind of project and you have people above you waiting for this to be done, basically. And yeah, that was a lot of stressful time, because, you know, I do realize we did not film everything I wanted to film. We had to compromise and we had to cut some of the scenes because we were running out of time. So it's like we don't have that luxury as David Fincher has, this 70 takes of one thing, and I can choose and pick for just perfect shots. So yeah, it was tough to make the best from out of this what you have.
Yeah, then it kind of became we had a schedule when we had an editor, but then once Dorota and I got over that, really, like, it's kind of like a depression, because it's like you're handing it off to an expert and you're in good hands, right? Sure. And you're looking forward to kind of taking a little back seat for a change. And then once you mentally learn, like, oh shit, like, we're going to have to edit this now. That takes a while to get into the headspace of, okay, damn, I am editing this thing now.
Yeah.
And so then it was like, we're going to take as long as we need to. And because, as Dorota said, we didn't, get all of our dream shots, and we had to cut some scenes and stuff like that. So really it was like, let's take as much time as we can and make it as good as we can. And this also played into, I think, the benefit of having more time for sound and the score and the visual effects that are in the film, because there are some enhancement visual effects and some other things that you wouldn't even notice. But to make the farm's film feel more isolated, like we removed houses out of the backgrounds of shots and stuff like that. Nice. Things you wouldn't even know. But then the score, like, to give Jane Saunders more time to do her original score, which actually incorporates sounds from the earth and sounds of industry into her instrumentation, and to give Chris Bell more time on the sound design, kind of what we were talking about before of, like, if you can do great on the sound and on the music, that's like half the battle right there. It did kind of, in a way, maybe allow us to have a better sound situation in the film than we would have, if we were rushing towards like festivals in 2020 kind of a thing, or in 2019, sorry. Right.
So we don't have unlimited time to edit. We still had some deadlines to go.
but still now it's not as rushed, which is, it's sometimes, God, I don't want to edit I'm really not interested in suddenly going, oh gosh, here's all the drives, start the edit process. I feel for you, because once you've edited it, you kind of want someone else to lead that, and you then come in and shape it with them. So I don't know how you got through it, but well done for doing it. And then did you go back to the same distribution company who'd given you that letter of intent? Or were you now in a position to go, hey, we can go wherever we want, we've got a great movie?
Yeah, we did not. But it was kind of like, once we got into Fantasia, which is a fantastic genre festival, it's like the biggest genre festival in North America. That was kind of like, kind of again, going back to the Kickstarter situation, it was like, oh, wow, we've made it into this really fantastic film festival. Okay, let's see maybe what doors can open now. And we got our international sales agent, Real Suspects, right after our first screen, or was it before our first screening? I can't remember now. But yeah, things again started falling into place. And then, of course, then you have the situation where you're making all these awesome global film festivals, and damn it, you can't go because there's a pandemic. Then you have all those challenges. But yeah, it's been interesting, and we've had some really good partners with our sales agents and our distributors thus far. They allowed us, Giles, to hold on in the States to our theatrical, because no one was going to do a theatrical.
So therefore give us the rights, and you can do little screenings yourself. Absolutely, it's so important to hold on to those rights, actually. Yeah, they're not going to put it out.
So we premiered in Los Angeles. We were the first film at Laemmle Theaters, the historic Laemmle Theaters, to sell out post-pandemic.
Wow.
We had somebody during that scene we talked about that ran out of the theater and vomited on the theater wall.
Oh my gosh!
Giles, which is a fantastic story.
It's a fantastic story.
I mean, so yeah, it's been a long 8-year journey. Very interesting. We've learned a hell of a lot.
Yeah. No, we have. And congratulations. It's really great. The film's out now. Unearth. Do go see it. It's out in America. It's definitely out in the UK. What other territories have you got at the moment?
Yeah, it's Signature Entertainment, which is fantastic in the UK.
Which is they're my company. They made Arthur and Merlin with me, and we just done Wolves of War. The War film was with Signature, so
congrats.
Yeah, no, they're fantastic. So yeah,
they
congrats
seem great.
To you. Yeah,
France. Let's see, Germany, France, US, and Canada. Am I missing it? Ireland, yeah, because UK. Yeah, and they're still working on it. So we actually just played in the Bifon Festival in South Korea. So we're still actually in festivals. It's been over a year, and hopefully more countries to come and more places can see it.
Amazing. Listen, congratulations. Unearth is amazing. You deserve a huge round of applause, and everyone should go see this movie and support indie film, because it's great. And you guys, it's a lovely story as well. You've done well, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next. Huge congrats. Well done.
Thank you for your time and what you do on the podcast. It is priceless. Thank you.
Bless you. Thank you so much. Where can people find you on the socials?
Yeah, unearthmovie.com is the main site. And then our handles for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are Unearth Movie, except for... which one is Unearth
Twitter.
The Movie? Twitter is Unearth The Movie. Otherwise, we're Unearth Movie everywhere.
Amazing. So good. So go follow, go tweet the guys as well. I take it your Twitter handles are on Unearth Movie.
Yes. Yeah, we are.
John
Lyons
C. Lyons
Productions.
And Lyons Den Productions. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's Swies. Do you pronounce it Swies or Swies? Just
normally I would say Swiens, but
Swiens. Wow.
Dorota Swies.
Nice. But normally you'd say that, but then is there an alternate?
But I have, I forgive a lot when it's okay.
Swies.
I react. I will look your way if you say Swiss.
Swiss, but Swies is best. Great. That's perfect. No, thank you. Remember, you can go out there and make your indie film just as John and Dorota have done. you can go out and do it. Look at that. You can raise money on a Kickstarter. You can make a proof of concept. You can go out there and then raise more finance, learn how to do it, learn the business side of it, and go make your film and get it released out into the world. And if you're lucky enough to rise up and do well, it is your duty to send the elevator back down. We will see you next Tuesday. As always, you can follow me at Giles Alderson. You can follow the podcast at Filmmakers Pod. Do go on there and do thank all our guests for coming on and talking. And if you do like this, tell all your friends. That's how we grow, and that's why we keep doing this, to help you. Again, John, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Dorota, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. We'll see you all next Tuesday. Take care, stay well, and go do something right now, this second, to go make your film happen. I can't hear you doing it. Go do it. Do it now. See you next Tuesday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.